All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming in rapidly to the end of the collegiate season. In fact, we have one more match in CEA Siege. But before we get into who's in that match and who's in the playoffs for the other two leagues, CRSL and CR6, my co-host Syntax and I are back. Welcome, Syntax. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's been a pretty big week for me.
Yeah, life achievements, achievement unlocked. You are now adulting
I am now
to
adulting.
you are now doing the most expensive adulting you will ever do. I hope. I couldn't imagine handling more.
Yeah, I think this would be the most expensive thing that I've done. Buying a house has definitely been not just expensive, but also kind of stressful.
Oh yeah. And I mean you did all this online, right? Or like you did like a basic viewing?
No, like I went down to the place and um, I looked at some different models and stuff, and decided which floor plan I wanted, and then we're gonna go through and decide um like today we picked out the different type of brick we wanted, the type of mortar, which is like the stuff in between the bricks, then the stones that are going to be on the front walkway, the colors of stones, the color of the side of the house, color of the garage, color of the trim,
You know,
and
I
then we're
just
gonna
get
go
this
through.
I get this
What's that?
funny image of you as an Animal Crossing character, like going around customizing your island, and it's this posh looking brick house and everything, and it's just little chibi Animal Crossing Syntax going around, playing house, decorating everything.
Pretty much, I was like, I, you know, like they showed us like there's like these little cardboard cutouts with like types of brick on it, and I was like, do you guys have like pictures of like what these look like on a house? Because my imagination sucks, and like if this brick looks ugly right here to me, it could look really good on a house, and I have no idea. I was like, I'm gonna need some visuals here, you know.
Yep.
And he's like, well, we don't really have any visuals, so I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna let the wife handle this because I I'm gonna pick out something that's not gonna be good. But I did save the day because uh, we were about to have a green garage, and I was like,
Ooh
"What do you
boy.
do?" Yeah, she was like, "Oh, we're gonna have all this, and this is the color of the garage." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait a second. You're telling me
Wait.
you want a green garage?" I was like, "Okay, when was the last time you saw a green garage?" She's like, "Well, like I don't know." I was like, "Exactly, exactly. Nobody has a
Yo.
green garage because it's fucking ugly." She's like, "Well, it'd be unique." I was like, painting our house bright pink would be unique, but does that make it look good? No. No, it
Not
does
at all.
not. So that was a close call,
Yeah.
close call. But then we gotta go back and we gotta go meet with the builder again this weekend and start choosing out like kitchen counters and floors and backsplashes and
And I'll just be sitting
light
here playing
fixtures.
R6 and just getting all the goods, and you're just gonna be like, paint colors, tiles.
Oh man. But
The
we
next,
did buy at the right time because
yeah.
apparently, because of all this stuff, um, the price of lumber is going up. So if you are planning on building a house or buying a house, do it now because price of lumber is going up. Therefore,
Mm,
price of houses are going to go up because it's going to cost more to build them.
got it.
So just
Insider
keep that in
track.
mind.
There you go. Well then, what we will kick off with this time, because Pro League is said and done until Ubisoft announces something for Season 12, and until rosters and other teams are announced for picking up one roster or another and seeing what happens with the Pro League situation. I imagine Ubisoft is maybe in a little bit of a crisis mode, just figuring out who's going to pick up what rosters and how all of their plans have changed even more drastically than they announced at the Invitational. So there is plenty for them to be chewing on, and we'll just have to wait patiently for them. In the meantime, CEA Open League playoffs. I got this working this time, so now folks can see the wonderful bracket that we have for CEA Open. Now this is everyone who was not, none of the 16 teams that made it into the Invitational League. So this is another massive league. I think it was like another 100 teams or so. And so we got down to the, what was it, last 64 or something like that? Last 32? Did they? Yeah, last 32 it looks like. So we got, now this is going to be a lot of teams that we don't recognize, and I'm not going to recognize a lot of these acronyms, but for the teams who we do recognize from CR6 and CRSL who didn't make it into Invite, they are trying to fight for an Invite League spot this time around. So we've got York University, and I want to say that was Montana University, Michigan Tech University, Florida Institute or International University, Marquee Blue, I believe that is actually Marquee University, San Francisco University, CU Boulder Black. They were not an Invite League team, so you know they are in it to win it. CSULB, I think that honestly they're probably the only, between FIU, CSULB, and CU Boulder Black, I think one of those three things will win it. One of those three teams will win it. I don't know much about York University, but they have the number one seed slot. So, and they've obviously participated against some really great teams. I mean, University of Texas Arlington fell to them, and they beat. Who is that? I forget who this was, but they were also, like, I looked at their previous matches, they were no slouches by any means, and when they lost to a team, they weren't losing hard. So UDIM was not just a slouch for York to walk over. So, and then for Texas Tech University to lose to MU, like number 1 and 8 going at it, that's going to be a fair fight. 4 versus 5, that's going to be another big one. When I think York versus CSULB or York versus CU Boulder Black, I'd still take Boulder Black over both of those teams. When I come down here, this is just kind of a crapshoot. I don't know 3 of the 4 teams down here, and FIU has just never been bottom tier anyways. And for them to secure that 6th seed, they've followed through. Like, we look like the fact that MTU Gold, 19 seed, just took out number 3 seed Charger Blue, University of Alabama Huntsville. Like, this team has been crushing opponents left, right, and center. And I don't know who the hell MTU Gold is, but they just totally pulled the carpet out from underneath Charger Blue. So that's a huge upset. Absolutely monstrous upset. And MTU took out Boston. Boston University is one of the top teams in CRSL, I believe. So they're like a number 1 seed in their division.
I think I remember you talking about MTU last week.
Yeah.
Because I remember looking up the acronym. Was it?
I think it was Michigan Tech. Michigan Tech. Yeah. Never heard of them until now. Or until, like, we started talking about them in this open league. So, I mean, they've got some really good competition here. And when I look, holy, I just saw this. It's just really registering. SFU beat Grand Canyon University. The number 2 seed lost to the 18 seed. That's nuts. That is absolutely nuts.
Number 2 lost to 18?
Yeah. Grand Canyon University. And purple is their A squad. That's their best team. Damn. That's insane. So SFU, I'm going to have to do some notes on. Just grab my handy dandy pen. SFU and MTU. All right. We got some teams to follow up with, but like CSULB, CU Boulder Black, we know them. University of Central Florida, they haven't had the best time this season, so it's no surprise that they kind of fell to CSULB. CU Boulder Black crushing UCR. Don't know who they are. No surprise. SCE, again, not entirely familiar with them. So having that name, CU Boulder Black, ride all the way through the quarterfinals makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, lots of great competition here and some bigger names that we're going to see next season for sure, just if they can keep up this movement and up level of upset between MTU, like the 2 and 3 seeds falling, while we still have 4, 5, and 6, and 7 in it, and 8. So there's your 2 upsets. Otherwise, we have the top seeds from each quadrant qualifying to the quarterfinals. It's just MTU Gold and SFU that pull off the upsets. Otherwise, we would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the final 8 slots. So that's kind of cool to look at. Next slide. Well, it doesn't really matter because we already know the results. So let's switch back to us. Then the CEA Invite League finals, not the grand finals, the finals. We had Pennsylvania State University taking on Arizona State University Maroon. This was the wild card round. My apologies. This was wild card. So Pennsylvania State beat ASU Maroon, and in the next round, they ended up losing to RIT 2-1, which means that RIT would play the winner of Akron and Carnegie Mellon. Well, since we're a little bit late getting this podcast out, I can actually tell you Akron won that series 2-0 and will play RIT in the final. So the top 2 seeds in the open or in the invite league are your grand finalists. And unfortunately, there's no announcement as to when that match is going to take place. So keep an eye on CEA_Siege on Twitter and on Twitch. Subscribe to both, follow them, and wait for that announcement of when that last match is going to happen, because this is it for CEA Siege sometime this week. It could go as late as next Sunday, according to their calendar, but we also know that they are an accommodating group, so they may be making accommodations in case there's player scheduling conflicts or if there's other conflicts going on with the life and the world around us. So keep an eye out for that, but otherwise follow them on Twitch, follow them on Twitter, and you'll get that notification when that matchup is coming. So that's CEA until we have next week, which will basically be the finals of the playoffs altogether. They may have one more week for their open division, but I could also see it all wrapping up this week, considering there's 4, 5, 6, 7 matches left. If they can get a couple of them together, you might see the end of the league this week. So pay attention there. CR6 Premier at the end of Phase 2. We had 5 4-0 teams. Grand Canyon University, UCF Black, so University of Central Florida, Simon Fraser University, Boston University, which I mentioned in the CEA Open League, which knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. Kind of crazy making to think about that. And then, of course, your champions, once again, Akron Zips. So we had the 5 of them going into the playoffs undefeated. When we start, and so before that last week, I called out CU Boulder Black versus Grand Canyon University. I thought that was going to be just a great match. And what ended up happening? Grand Canyon University knocks them down a notch and wins against CU Boulder Black, making CU Boulder Black fall to a 3-1 into the playoffs. GCU made their big statement with their fall finish. So they're making a big statement after their fall finish. Like, they didn't finish very well. I want to say like 12th overall. And so with this win over CU Boulder Black, they were given the 5th seed into the playoffs. And their first match was against University of Colorado, Colorado Spring, the 29th seed. So that win puts them 5 versus 29th. And so that's a huge advantage as to where CU Boulder Black fell to. They fell to 9th and they played Nevada Esports 25th. So 25th, 29th, not that big of a fall. 5th versus 9th. But as they continue on in that run, they're going to be fighting, they're going to be meeting a much more, assuming there's no upsets, of course, they're going to be playing a higher ranked opponent next after this Nevada round if they win. But we have updates on the first round of the playoffs all the way through. We're just going to get through some of the juicy tidbits right now. So Akron had to play Clemson, the only non 3-0 team in this last week of the playoffs, and we just said that was super unfortunate and random, unfortunately, even more so. But as you can tell, Akron 2-0'd them. With that loss, Clemson dropped to 36th and out of playoff contention. So they were knocked out because they lost to Akron in that 4th round. The difference? A little bit of team rating, but mostly a difference of 4 in their round differential to the 32nd placed team who made it into the playoffs. So just goes to show that every win and every loss really truly matters. And if you're going to lose, at least make it close, because to lose by 4 rounds that could have been accumulated over the last 4 weeks, yikes. That, I mean, with best of 3 sets being played each time, 4 rounds at maximum, what was that, 15 rounds apiece? So 4 rounds and 45 total. 10% of your rounds just cost you a playoff spot and a berth into continuing playing. So that's going to be hitting those players hard for sure. And hopefully they can rebound, recoup, and study up on how they lost.
Yeah.
University of Central Florida struck back against Wisconsin Red, winning 2-0, and not allowing this final matchup to be a repeat of last season's round of 16, where they did play each other and Wisconsin Red won. UCF earned the 3rd seed, and Wisconsin ends up dropping to 17th. Yikes. For the first playoff round, University of Central Florida played University of Texas San Antonio A squad, 30th seed, and 2-0'd them. Wisconsin Red fought University of Louisiana Lafayette and lost 0-2. So we've got UCF continuing on, and Wisconsin Red not able to find their way past a very equal opponent, as Wisconsin Red was rated 17th overall, so it was 17th seed versus 16th seed, but lost straight up 2-0. So unfortunate, but thanks Wisconsin Red. That was a really competitive season that you had, and you turned my head to you. So I'm looking forward to see how you all continue this tradition of competition. Some other highlights from the Open Division, or the Premier League playoffs. Let's switch over to the brackets. Here we go. So Akron zips 2-0'd Northeastern University. Not too much of a surprise there. First seed versus 32nd seed. That goes about the way that you expect it to. As I mentioned, University of Louisiana 2-0 Wisconsin Red. CU Boulder Black 2-1 over Nevada Esports. Kind of surprising that they dropped a map to Nevada, as CU Boulder Black is a very dominant team usually when they're playing those top tier teams. So to see them drop one, wondering if they're trying to mix it up, trying new strategies that they might have come up with, seeing as a lot of people are probably watching their VODs. Kansas State University Gold 2-0 over Marquette, and Marquette was one of the teams in CEA's Open League that is still in the running. I believe they were 8th seed overall. So as you see, Akron versus Louisiana, I think we can tell how that's going to go. And actually, Syntax, we need to be making our picks. So okay, before I give anything away, I'm just gonna say I'm going with Akron over Louisiana.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe I'll play devil's advocate and I'll
Oh,
go with Louisiana.
okay, okay. CU Boulder Black or Kansas City or Kansas State. Sorry, I keep adding the city. I'm just too used to watching football.
I I'll go with black.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad CU Boulder. I'm definitely there with you. Simon Fraser 2-1 over New York Tech. New York Tech is one of those teams. It seems like they have hot spots and where like they go on these win streaks, but they may not be against like the best players or the best teams. And so, I mean, that's how you get to 30th overall out of what was it 140 teams in this season of CR6. And I mean, 30th, the top 25%. Like, you're a good team. You're a solid team. There's just minimal difference between you and the top. So New York Tech, no slouch, not at all. Took a map off of Simon Fraser. There's your one key to say how close the top 10 teams are to even the top 30 teams. So keep that in mind as we're going, folks. So then UGA, Red, University of Georgia. University of Georgia versus Purdue. 13 seed, losing to Purdue, losing to 20th seed, 0-2 or 2-0. Now this is where we get into some choices. Like UGA again, competitive, always been there. While I've been covering CR6, always been there. Been kind of middle of the pack, but again, moving to that top 13 in CR6 to see them drop to Purdue just means that we have a really tight gap, I think, between 11th and 20th. I think that gap is pretty tight. So I'm actually going to risk it. I'm going to say Purdue.
Is Purdue versus who else?
Simon Fraser.
So
Simon Fraser's fourth seed.
I'm gonna go with Fraser.
Okay. I think any sane person would, especially given the data that we have. It's just like they keep winning. Okay. I remember
bigger upsets, so
exactly. We have seen bigger upsets, and I mentioned Grand Canyon University was playing University of Colorado Springs. I did not mention that GCU is the 5th seed and 2-1 them in that first round, and Mississippi State Esports, my boys, my guys, and this sucks because in that second round, well, first Mississippi State Esports beat out the Golden Hurricanes. I have no idea what team that is, what school they're from. I'm sure I could find it up real quick.
Golden Hurricanes?
I mean, it could be California, it could be Florida. I couldn't tell you.
Hurricane sounds more like a Florida school.
But Golden sounds like, Tulsa. University of Tulsa.
Yeah, there it is. I just Googled it.
I guess they went with their mascot names. That makes sense. All right, so where were we? We were up here. So, Golden Hurricanes, 21 seed loses to 12th. And now this is my heartbreaker match. Grand Canyon University, 5th seed versus Mississippi State Esports. Two of my first ever esports podcast guests, and now they are head to head in the game that I have been covering the most, and I don't want to pick. Who are you picking?
What's Mississippi's record right now?
Mississippi, I believe they went 3-1 in phase 2. GCU would have been 4-0, and Mississippi would have been 3-1.
Okay.
And I believe Mississippi State. Who did they lose to? I want to say that they didn't lose to Boulder Black. I forget who they lost to. It was another close one.
I'm gonna go with Mississippi.
Okay. And I'm going to root for GCU. Just they each need some love. I can't let either one of them go without support. So
for variety's sake.
Yep. And here we go. Here we go with our first major upset of the playoffs. Boston University having a hell of a time continuing their trend. Number 2 seed in CR6 fails and falls to the 31st seed UDEM. UDEM. The same. Okay, now this needs to be called out. Boston University lost in the first round of the playoffs. Who did they lose to in the first round of the playoffs in CEA? Michigan Tech University, 19th seed. In CEA, UDEM, UDEM, they lost to York University, but they upset. So I mean, there was 17th seed overall in CEA Open. So 17th seed there and 31st seed in CR6. And they've stomped the second seed. Just straight up stomped them 2-0. And I don't have the scores for Boston versus MTU in the Open League for CEA, but the fact is Boston has choked in their playoffs. Now, they could have had a forfeit for one reason or another, or matches were scheduled in a way that they couldn't follow through. Power's been going out, all that stuff. No big deal. Like, I would love to know if this was an actual matchup or a forfeit, but it seems weird that it would be two different leagues against two different opponents to get 2-0'd by, or to lose to like a 17th seed. So I hope that there's something there, and it's just not that they were relaxing and just completely underestimated their opponents. But first upset, number 2 seed losing to the 31st seed, like that's almost as unbelievable as if the number 1 seed would have lost to the 32nd seed. Like, think about that. That's kind of nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon State University, 15th seed, took out Ohio State University. That was A squads for both, I believe. Yes, it was. And so Oregon State making a run in this playoff. Like, they came out of nowhere this season. They didn't have a team last season, or if they did, they were only in the Open League. And honestly, I wasn't paying attention there, so my bad if that was the case. But the fact that they've come out and had such a strong showing in their first Premier League playoffs already to take out Ohio State, who's been competitive, a very good competitive team the last 2 years. I think this is the first year where they've really slumped and not been in kind of that top 10, top 15 situation. I mean, they're 18th, that's not terrible, but they've definitely hit some rough patches across the league. So OSU doing the work, and now they get to fight UDEM. I'm gonna have to look that up. I want to know what's up with that acronym for them.
Familiar.
But I have to take Oregon State University. I've talked to those guys, and their Call of Duty guys are just first class riot acts. So just hilarious guys, and their leaders are top notch guys. So I gotta go with them.
The Ducks or something like that? Oregon
Yeah.
Ducks.
Or that's Oregon. Yes. So these are Oregon's. Yeah, this is the Ducks.
It's Universidad de Monterrey.
Oh, okay.
It's
Cool.
a Mexican team? Wait, no.
Sweet.
That can't be right.
Maybe.
University, well... Yeah, it is. It's
University of Montreal.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah. It's in Mexico.
No, not Monterey, Montreal, Canada.
University of Montreal.
I clicked on the match,
yes.
and it has a
Okay,
low
here
flag.
it is. Okay, yeah.
Okay, Montreal. That makes way more sense all of a sudden. But so, and when I have to think regionally when we start picking these teams like this. And if there's as close of a gap as I'm thinking that there is between 10th and 30th, I still have to ride Oregon State because they just came out of nowhere. And this is the Beavers, sorry. Oregon University of Oregon is the Ducks. Oregon State is the Beavers. So actually, I haven't talked to these guys. I got it backwards. So I don't know who these guys are. They're just kicking ass, hands down. So I'm still going to go OSU. They've surprised me, and I got to cheer on this kind of nearly Cinderella run kind of deal. Who do you got?
I think I'm also gonna go with the Ducks, or not the Ducks, the Beavers.
Got it. All right, Texas Tech University showing some promise, some signs of life after failing out of the CEAC Open League 2-1 over Broncos Esports Gold, which is pretty good. I mean, 7th seed Texas Tech over Bronco Esports. Can't complain about that. I mean, that's a solid showing, 2-1. Must have been a close match. And Texas Tech, as I've been saying from the beginning, you don't want to mess with teams in Texas. It's just a bad move to mess with Texan esports. Professional or collegiate, it's just a bad idea. So we get the glory of a round 2 Texas T-sized showdown between Texas Tech 7th seed and 10th seed Longhorn Gaming after they knocked out New Jersey Institute of Technology 2-1 in the first round. So now we get a Texas versus Texas round. And I don't know if we'll get that opportunity again. I don't think we will. So this is battle for supremacy in CR6 in Texas. This is for all of the wide open spaces and dominion over Texas in Rainbow Six. So hey, no pressure, guys. It's fine. I have to go with Texas Tech. Yes, they dropped the match in CEA playoffs, but they made it to the open playoffs. Longhorn Gaming, they did. I don't think they did. I don't know if they even participated in CEA, but the Longhorns have kind of had. I mean, their loss. Whoever Texas Tech and Longhorn Gaming lost to, it would have just been super close. And their round differentials are right next to each other. Their team ratings are probably real close to each other. I just have to go Texas Tech. Just
yeah. You said they're playing UT Longhorns.
Yeah.
Only because UT is my nemesis. I'm going to go with the old Raider Rashes.
There you go.
Texas
Tech. Yeah. We covered UCF.
Yeah.
Texas Tech. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So right now so we got Akron. Okay, so we got 3 matchups that we have different. So we're doing pretty good so far. We're gonna make it count all the way to the end. UCF Black, UTSA, I already called that out, 2-0 for UCF. Illinois State, number 14, 2-1 over British Columbia, which is a little surprising to me. Granted, Illinois already had a higher seed. I was registering UBC as a stronger competitive team, but apparently not. So UCF versus Illinois State, 3 versus 14th. Ah, man, that would be quite the upset. And seeing as they struggled against UBC with that one map lost, I'm still gonna have to go UCF.
I don't think a 2-1 score is really definitive of anything, because that one loss could have been due to something like bugs or something like just silly things like crashes mid-round or something.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the underdog here. I'm gonna go with Illinois State.
All right. And I mean, now when I look at that, possible matchups in the next round: CSULB or University of Kentucky. Kentucky surprised me. I mean, again, they kind of it's another one of those teams that just have had a great showing during this playoff. They beat Michigan State, 27th seed, 2-0, and so Kentucky has absolutely earned their 6th seed over and over and over. They played some of the hardest opponents as a 3-1 team. They had some of the most success as a 3-1 team. All of their loss must have been really close. The round differentials must have been really high for the times that they won. So I mean, they're sitting pretty good in terms of understanding, but they are going to have to play CSULB, who 2-1 your Texas A&M Maroon squad. So that was 11th seed versus 22nd seed, and that one's got to hit a little close to home because I mean CSULB and Texas A&M have had a little bit of a rivaled history back and forth over the seasons. And I believe this matchup actually kind of breaks the tie between the two. So I think this is 3 rounds for CSULB, or 3 matches CSULB, 2 matches Texas A&M. So might be setting up a bit of a back and forth history to keep an eye on.
Probably.
But unfortunately, that does mean that is the end of the road for the other Texas-based team, and had they survived,
I thought CSU LB beat the A&M.
Yeah,
oh, they beat Maroon. They did beat
Maroon. Yeah, they did beat Maroon. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just saying Texas A&M was the third Texas team in the playoffs, and they were the first ones to go. That's what I was trying to say.
I gotta say that I'm a little disappointed at that because they were pretty dang easy last time we played them. So well, I don't know what happened to these new players that they brought onto the team, but
I mean, it's a combination of Texas A&M maybe getting a little bit weaker, and I mean, as you said, you didn't know what their scrim schedules were like or how hard they were going at it. And then CSULB, I mean, they took a little bit of a dive in the fall, and maybe they found a new fragger. They found a new piece that was working better for them. And CSULB has been present in this league and CEA, and very clearly showing off that they're a top talent team. I mean, CSULB was 4th seed, I believe, in CEA. Let me take a look at that. 4th seed. I just closed everything. I did not want to do that. My bad, folks. We will get back to the show momentarily. Of course, I'm good at this game, and I failed. There we go. All right. So then, who is your pick for University of Kentucky, 6th seed, or CSULB, 11th seed?
Let's go with Kentucky.
All right, you're going Kentucky just as I was going to go for the underdog, because I believe that 4th seed in CSULB or in CEA means a lot here. I think that they might have had a slip up that dropped them to 11th. I mean, that probably would have been a loss in one of the earlier rounds, and they just never got to make up for it because they never got to play those opponents who just kept winning. So I think that that's probably what ducked them down lower than they should be. So I'm going to hope on that, but Kentucky certainly is going to be a stout opponent for them. So we have the Premier League wrapped up and ready to go. We have some really exciting matches to watch, specifically CU Boulder Black, KSU, Grand Canyon University, and Mississippi State, 2 teams that, like, one team that's been consistently there in that top 10 and another team coming out of nowhere, but just putting rubber to the road and making ends meet. And then, of course, the Texas Showdown. I'm excited about that one. That would be one to rally folks around to enjoy a good watch party with. So that's it for CR6. Whew, that's a lot of matches, man. I'm so glad I get to see all this. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm going to take like a week off at some point, and I'm just going to cruise through all of these VODs, and I'm going to be building out that dream spreadsheet. It's going to be amazing. So that's to look forward to at the beginning of next season. Now we have more matches. More matches. I'm not going to. So these are the CRSL College Rainbow Six League. I'm not going to go over the Week 7 matchups because with how they were making up matches, it was really difficult to figure out which matches actually made an impact onto the playoffs and when that should have impacted things and when all the matches were going out. So it was just a little crazy to organize and figure out which matches really mattered and which ones didn't. So we're just going to look at the playoff brackets. Now we have groups 3 and 4 and groups 1 and 2. This is groups 3 and 4. Kind of like how CEA has their branches, the 4 quadrants of the tournament. That's how we're breaking it up. But 3 and 4 are just the right half of the bracket. Then they have a it's a double elimination style bracket. So we will see how this plays out. But we have already some recognizable names here already knocked out. Wisconsin Red, Northern Arizona University, CGCUICSOL. Thank God they're knocked out, so I never have to say that acronym again for the rest of the season. And Texas Tech. Gosh dang it, we both picked Texas Tech in our CR6 bracket. So let's hope that they can do something here. But Texas Tech University lost to FIU 2-0. Auburn over the top of that acronym I refuse to say one more time. 2-0 again. University of Utah, a underdog for certain that I have not seen in any other league in the playoffs. So they're making a run for it, and between qualifying as one of the top 4 teams in their division, having survived was one of the top 4 finishers for their trial, and now here they are taking out Wisconsin Red, a team that just seems to have slumped in the playoffs and in their last few weeks of competition. I mean, we're getting to that point where endurance is a big deal. I know a lot of people, both when I was playing traditional sports and a lot of people when they're participating in long seasons, they just want to be done, especially in high school and college. Like, they want to go and be done and go do other things. Like, there's more to their lives than these things, except for the most obsessive and the ones who really want to go pro. So to see Wisconsin Red floundering at the end, to me, this is just like an endurance thing. They have to get their mindset back in it to be able to last this long across all the leagues that they were in. I would need to see if they were in. I'm pretty sure they were in all 3, CEA, CR6, and CRSL. So I know they were in at least 2 of them, probably the 3rd one even. So actually, I think I do know that. Where were they? No? Okay, maybe they didn't make it to the Open League. Wisconsin Red. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. My bad. So coming up next, we have FIU versus Auburn University. I'm just gonna take FIU. Like, this just seems like a no-brainer to me. Auburn, as much as they've earned their spot here, as much as they 2-0'd the acronym team that must not be named, I just have so much more faith in the 3rd seed overall from CEA Open League and the history of them participating versus Auburn, who I know has had some tough goes the last couple of seasons. So I have to go FIU.
Okay. I'll probably do the same.
Yeah. It'd be free money if you were handing out Auburn wins. I'm starting to trash talk now just because, you know what? Why the hell not? University of Utah versus Akron. Sorry, there's no upsets here. Akron knows every strategy, every play, and University of Utah, who's not in any other league, probably under scheduling scrims and assuming that they're not also trying to do the Challenger League thing like Akron. I have a hard time believing that a Cinderella run against Akron is actually a thing unless they made it all the way to the finals. But that's not going to happen. So I still have to go Akron.
Okay. Well, I didn't choose Akron, so I couldn't really choose Akron, man, couldn't I?
Wait, what?
You said Akron in the end. Is that what you're choosing?
Yeah, that's who I chose in the. I mean, you could certainly choose them again. We got plenty of matches to be deciders.
That's a hard one.
I mean, now just to remember, like this is a double elimination tournament, so Wisconsin Red, Northern Arizona, the team that must not be named, and Texas Tech University are still in the running. They're just going to have to make a loser bracket run. So Utah could take out Texas Tech or the team that must not be named, and then win against Wisconsin Red again, or maybe Northern Arizona University, and make that run against Auburn, and then even Akron again, or FIU. So there's a chance for a rematch for all of this to happen. So if you don't get it right the first time, there is opportunity for the second time.
You know, I'm gonna go with Akron because the only reason I say that is because they won all 3 leagues last season, and I couldn't see them not winning one more time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is because it's also a smaller set of teams, and I mean, let's if we go back to the group stage. Akron actually finished second. They dropped a map. They dropped a game. Who did they drop that game to? Akron. FIU. So that is how that played out. And if Akron and FIU each win, they get a rematch of the one match that Akron has lost in this league. And then whoever wins that and whoever loses that, they still have a chance to run it back and play for a third time in this league, which would be I think that would be a phenomenal way to end this. Like, if you're not going to have top seed versus bottom seed kind of deal, or some sort of revenge grudge match, it might as well be the teams who have split their confrontations, one each, and then winner takes all, and literally have it be the grand finale. I think that would be a great way to finish the season.
I think so too.
Going on into the first round of losers brackets matches, Texas Tech University versus the team that must not be named. It's going to be Texas Tech because, one, I chose them in CR6, and two, I don't want to have to keep saying either the acronym or the team that must not be named. I'm done. No, this is the line in the sand. That team is done. I refuse. Now UIC, like they've done their work. Like UIC, they ended up second in their group, just under University of Utah, which is still just blowing my mind. And who did University of Utah lose to? They lost to Northern Arizona University, which just blows my mind that that's a thing. I hate that. I hate that they lost that. Ugh. It just... I don't know why that sets me off. It just does. There's something about Northern Arizona that's just been a thorn in my side this season. Just as I try and predict things or look at things. So I'm going Texas Tech and Wisconsin Red, just to get the two teams that are rubbing me the wrong way out of the way. It's Wisconsin Red versus Northern Arizona University. Both, and I will say, both Wisconsin Red and Northern Arizona had their moments. They had flashes in the pan, and then they just, like, when they've lost, like, how did you lose that? I don't understand that. Oh, or they were just up against a team like Akron, and it's just like, okay, top tier team versus you, and it's like, okay, I know how this is going to go. Yeah, and after seeing some of the performances, like in some of the VODs, you can just tell those teams that are super tight with their coordination or their communication, or the ones that are just straight up frag powers. And Wisconsin has a bit of both, but again, they have to be on the right map at the right round with the right advantage. And same goes for Arizona, and I honestly believe that Arizona is probably the weaker of the two teams.
Yeah, in the college leagues, it's very apparent. It's like there are three types of teams in the college leagues. I mean, I guess you could apply it to any league, but it is the most distinct like difference in the college leagues. There's the actual coordinated teams. There are the we don't have strats, but we can frag out teams. They just run in and they just kill everyone. And then there's the uncoordinated, unfragging teams.
the casual teams.
Yeah, it's like the low end, the mid range, and the high end. You know, the uncoordinated, unfragging. There's the fragging, and then there's the coordinated and fragging.
Right.
But you can definitely tell watching some of the college league teams, like which one is like that type of team. They all fall into one category.
It's funny because it's like you get the same personalities and team personalities and traits that you see in the pro league. It's just that they're almost caricatures of them, and they're more exaggerated and more extreme than like the pro league teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so between Texas Tech and the team that must not be named, who's your pick?
Let's go with Tech.
Okay.
Just put some faith in my fellow Texans.
There you go. And then Wisconsin Red versus Northern Arizona University. I'll let you pick first.
You said Northern Arizona versus who?
Wisconsin Red.
Let's go with the Cheeseheads.
All right, I know I said Wisconsin is probably the stronger team out of the two, and NAU is the weaker team. But you went out and you picked the underdog in the Akron versus Louisiana matchup. The least I can do is pick an underdog in a place where I know I'm getting myself into some hairy situation. But if Northern Arizona has learned anything from their losses this season across all the leagues and through some of the drama that they've been a part of and through all of the team building that they've gone through to be this far in this many leagues and represent their school and everything, there's got to be respect there for them. And knowing that it will be a tight match, I just think Wisconsin has them on the ropes. I'm still going to go Northern Arizona University. One, it's the underdog. It's the least I can do to make this bracket a little more fair. But I think Wisconsin Red has been just down in the dumps, and they may have a harder time pulling out of it. And Northern Arizona, I want them to want to win. I want them to want to pull out of this slump. So I'm going to go NAU. That's it for one bracket. So many matches, man. And this is the playoffs. We're not doing this for every single week because, 70 plus, that would be like 80, 90 matches a week if we were trying to report on all those. This is the least we can do. an hour-long episode of Sports Center, this works, where it's just scores upon scores upon scores. If any of the teams do happen to listen to the podcast or are in either chat, I would love to talk to you. And if Syntax has time, maybe run some interviews himself. But for me, I would love to talk with any of these teams that are in these playoff situations, or if your matches just ended, let's talk. Let's talk about your college Rainbow Six League experience, or your CR6 League experience, or your CE8 League experience. We want to know. We want to get to know the players and the teams more, so we have better context on this. And do your schools a favor and share what's going on the podcast to make people know that your team is participating and challenging and competitive everyone else out there. This is not a triple A school versus triple A school kind of environment. This is anyone and everyone who is a good player and a good team together can place and fight against the biggest of colleges out there in North America. So pay attention, share, make everyone aware of your school's esports program and teams. But with that, we have a few more matches to talk about. We had Sheridan College. Now, Sheridan was the number one team, 7-0 in this division. And who did they lose to? They lost to LSU. LSU was the bottom tier to qualify from group 2. So this is literally a 1 versus 8th place matchup, and LSU won 2-0. Sheridan is out and done. Your number 1 seed on the left bracket gone. Just kind of nuts. LSU, they were part of that group of death that we were talking about.
Yeah.
When you come back down here to this group, UTSA, Charger Blue, so University of Alabama, Huntsville, Charger Blue, Texas A&M Maroon, and LSU. Those were the 4 qualifying teams. That group of death is scary. It was 3 5-2 teams and 1 4-3 team that qualified. Now there was a tie for 4th place at 4-3, but Louisiana Lafayette, another Louisiana team, just couldn't pull it out. Like, there was a difference in overall points, it looks like. I don't know. There's a points differential between the two of them, and it looks like that was the decider. But for LSU to take out Sheridan, that's a huge deal. And actually, if we look at this just completely proves my point about this being the group of death. Every single one of the group 2 teams won their matchup. LSU beat Sheridan, Charger Blue beat Wilfrid Laurier, UTSA beat New York Tech, and Texas A&M Maroon beat Miami University. Group 2 just wiped the map with Group 1. So your loser brackets are matchups that we have already seen before. Let's go back to this. New York Tech versus Miami. How did that one play out? New York Tech versus Miami. New York Tech. Miami won that 7-3. And these were best of ones. So 7-3 and a best of 1. Not a good sign for New York Tech to know that they're playing that same matchup now. Sheridan versus Wilfrid Laurier, and I believe because Sheridan was 7-0, they've already lost, or they've already beaten Wilfrid Laurier. So you have history set up to repeat itself once again. This is kind of and with this being the case of how Group 2 won all of Round 1, we can also look into Round 2 and see who won against each other in that previous matchup. So LSU versus Charger Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this? This is kind of messy. LSU versus Charger Blue. Charger Blue 8-6 over LSU. And UTSA and A&M Maroon. I gotta find one of them. They're down here. A&M versus LSU, or did I say LSU? Yeah. LSU won 7-1. So, or sorry, not LSU. A&M and UTSA. A&M. UTSA also won 7-5. So some losses for A&M Maroon to correct and try and rectify and make sure that history is not repeating itself in Group B, as Group B takes the winners bracket by storm. So LSU versus Charger Blue. Who do you have? I'm going to be on the LSU bus, like from here on. Like they just took out the number 1 seed. I want to see a Cinderella story. I want to see the bottom team from the 2 groups just go on to make it to the championship.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be with you on that one.
Now, I mean, I'm lumping them up like Charger Blue, LSU, UTSA, Texas A&M Maroon. Group of death, hands down. This is not the group that you want to be playing, and when you have to stack these groups against these teams against each other, these are going to be explosive matches. LSU Charger Blue going to be phenomenal. UTSA over A&M Maroon, like just going to be precise and measured. Oh my god, these are matches I want to see. So if you find out when A&M is playing, please let me know. I want to watch these matches.
Yeah. Actually, I will talk to one of the players tonight because
Great.
I'll be playing Tarkov with him later. So
Nice.
I'll find out when the matches are.
Great. So then I'm assuming you have to go Texas A&M for your pick between UTSA and A&M.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with A&M.
Um. Sorry, I want to win. I'm gonna go UTSA.
Okay.
Sheridan versus Wilfrid Laurier. I mean, this is stacking up against Wilfrid Laurier. I mean, they've already played once. Sheridan won. Sheridan was upset by a group of death team. I think they're going to. They might have been punched in the face, but they're not done. I think Sheridan is just going to stomp all over Wilfrid Laurier. If we go back to that matchup, yeah, it was 7-2 the last time that they played in round 1 of the group stages. Excuse me. So I went Sheridan. You can join me, or you can really risk it all and go for the underdog who's already lost to this team once before. Go extreme underdog.
So you said it was
Sheridan College versus Wilfrid Laurier.
I'm gonna go with Sheridan.
Yeah. New York Tech versus Miami University. I honestly
New York.
Okay, I see. I was waffling on it. I really was. They last played each other. So if they played in order, which not a lot of these matches were in order, New York Tech lost 7-3 against Miami University, and overall Miami was 6-1 over New York Tech's 4-3. I mean, I really want New York Tech to pull out a win. I want them to do it, but the stats just aren't there. Miami only lost to Sheridan. Sheridan lost to LSU, which, I mean, that's the bottom of the other team or the other group. See, if this was Wilford Laurier versus New York Tech, I would take New York Tech. But 6-1. Yeah, I gotta take Miami. I feel like I've neglected Miami overall. I'm sure that they're in CR6 and probably CEA Open, but I just don't remember seeing them. And I don't remember seeing much about them. So this could be the case if this is a team that made it into the trials and they've just not been exposed to a team that's really stronger than them until they've gotten to the finals where they lost to A&M already. I mean, shoot, man. New York Tech took a map off of UTSA and A&M just stomped Miami. And I'm saying UTSA is a stronger team over A&M. All right, we'll let this one be a differentiator. So I'm starting to have second thoughts about Miami, but I'll keep my pick for now.
Okay.
Is that it? That's it. That's it for the week. Man, so many matches.
A lot of matches.
That's so many matches. Now, and actually, we have the last one to pick. We didn't do our pick. Akron versus RIT in the CEA Grand Finals.
Akron versus RIT?
Yeah, number 1 seed versus number 2 seed.
That's
a good question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, before we pick, let me I'll go to CRC.
I'm personally gonna go with Akron just because they're the defending champs.
Yep, makes sense.
But it is totally possible for RIT to steal it from them.
Yeah, I mean, Akron has dropped a few maps or a few games. They've lost a couple. Not to say that they had to be perfect in their run, and the fact that they've probably lost one game collectively per each league, which is a lot to say. I want to look up one thing real quick. I was hoping to find out if RIT even played in CR6 this season. Does not appear that they did. No, they did not. So we have very little data on them as to how they perform. Interesting. Okay, well that's something to think about. Without knowing anything about RIT, but knowing that they made a strong run and being the 2nd seed overall, but they are against Akron, and Akron has shown absolutely zero signs of slowing down. They might have hit a speed bump along the way with losing a map or two, but RIT would have had to have lost as well. And with the sheer amount of games that Akron is playing, I definitely think Akron is still in the running. We do have well, we need one more match. All right, I'll go RIT. I want to show some respect to the team that can claim 2nd place overall, and just knowing how tight that these matches can get. And with a curated league, much like CEA, it would be easy to understand that they vetted teams who are of comparable skill. So, and RIT has proven that they've gotten there. So, hey, maybe we're seeing the dethroning of a champion with this, and maybe this will feed Akron to lose to Louisiana, to lose to their opponents in CRSL. We will have to wait until next week. Juicy Joseph 11 in chat reading out RIT dead, Pog. There you go. Akron fans showing up, or maybe just some rivals of RIT. We will have to see how that goes. But that is your matches and part 1 of the playoffs in college Rainbow Six. Boy, that's a lot of matches.
Yeah, that's a lot of matches.
so much to say and so much to learn. I honestly, once these leagues are done for the season, oh, he's an Akron player, of course. There we go. Well, good luck in your matches. You've got quite the battle ahead of you in all 3 leagues, and between the stamina to do that and still be a student overall and be winning every damn match, it's damn impressive, Juicy Joseph. So good luck to you and your team. Thanks for hopping in and chat. Definitely appreciate it. Leave a message on the podcast. That goes for Juicy Joseph and all of those listening. Leave a message for the podcast with your picks, how you disagree with me or syntax, and how you call out my favoritism for my podcast guests. That's entirely up to you. So leave messages, anchor.fm/checkyour6/message. Let me know your picks. Let us know your picks and find out who's going to be right overall. You all have access to the brackets again. Send in your picks. I want to know. I want to see who's better at picking collegiate winners. You, the former player, syntax, or the washed out competitive gamer, now game developer and esports podcaster because he missed his calling, host. Show who's better. I mean, I'm on the verge of being a boomer, so damn. I mean, that's my rep now. So are you really going to let me show you up? Am I really going to know collegiate esports better than you? You shouldn't want that. No one should want that. No one should want to lose to me in that regard. So that's all I have. If you want to reach out to me either to schedule an interview or just to talk and shoot the shit about matches that happened, you can find me on social media at Warlock Recall on pretty much every social media platform out there. And Syntax, how about you? Where can folks find you? Yeah.
My socials is Twitter is at syntaxgg. You gotta add the 2 G's, otherwise I don't think you'll find me. But and then my YouTube, where you can find all my Rainbow Six Siege tips and tricks and stuff like that, is youtube.com/syntaxgg. And then also my Twitch, except there's an underscore, so it'd be twitch.tv/syntax_gg, and then that's it.
There you go. And if you want to direct your message to Syntax on the podcast, by all means, or you can leave him a message on his socials. So that's what we've got. There's thankfully less matches to keep track of and things to think about for the next week as teams are being eliminated left, right, and center. I'm sure that right now, every time you hear a round end, a team has been eliminated from their Rainbow Six playoff dreams. So just think about that when you're playing later tonight or tomorrow morning. So I will catch you all in chat for these streams going on this week. I am doing my best to be in as many streams as possible. Give a shout out to the podcast if you can. Give it a listen and send your messages, whether you're a student, a player, a captain for another team that has a school in this tournament. Leave your messages. I want to hear a whole bunch of support for your teams. Get them to fill my inbox. I will make an entire podcast episode or mini episodes that's just with teams shouting out their support for each other and moving on and cheering on collegiate esports as a whole. So with that, we are a long episode again. Thank you for bearing with it, and thank you for tuning in. Juicy Joseph, thanks for popping in. Definitely appreciate it, and good luck to Akron going forward. But we will catch you all maybe in just a few days if we can get our stuff together and have a Thursday podcast.
Yeah, we'll be on time this Thursday. I guarantee it.
Okay, there we go. We have promises. We will do this. All right. With that, we will see you all in just a few days. Later.